Okay, so this is going to be kind of a strange introduction to this video because I actually filmed an IEM comparison slash review and I filmed it a couple weeks ago. But since then, you'll notice a few things. One, my desk is a lot cleaner over here. Two, I have an O2 amp that I have added into my chain of things, which kind of changes my review a little bit. And three, I got a haircut. So, with all that being said, I'm going to play the original review that I recorded, and then I'm going to be stopping and interjecting with new video. So it might be kind of strange. But anyway, the comparison is between the KZAS10s, the Mi Audio M6 Pro 2s, and the Sound Magic E10s. So stay tuned to find out which one turned out the best. I had narrowed through a bunch of internet research. I had narrowed down my options to three different models. Those models were the Mi Audio M6 Pro 2, the KZ AS10s, and the Sound Magic E10s. Now, out of all these, they're all pretty well regarded in-ear monitors. The Sound Magics were the cheapest at about, I don't know, a little over $30 maybe on Amazon, but this one we can eliminate immediately. I did not like this headphone at all. I found it to be super, super dark and the bass to be really, really bloated. And so I really didn't give it much of a chance. So we're going to discard that one right away. Now, between the other two options, the M6 and the KZAS10, it's a little bit more difficult to pick. I'm going to save the suspense and I'm going to let you know that I went ahead and kept the KZ, or am going to keep. I still have the other one right here, but I'm going to keep the KZ AS10s, but I'm not sure that's going to be the choice that everyone would make in this circumstance. So let me explain myself. The M6 is just a little bit more, I don't know, engaging, maybe a little more exciting to listen to, but not nearly as natural and not as smooth as the KZAS10s. So when it came down to my personal preference, after listening to both of these in-ear monitors for several hours over the course of several days and switching back and forth between the two, and listening to as many different types of music as I could on them, what I decided was that I think, the M6 might be the most compelling overall package because of all of the stuff that comes with it. But for me, the KZAS10 was just easier to listen to for long periods of time, and I thought more music sounded better from it. I thought the bass was extremely well detailed without being boomy at all. You have to make sure that you do get a good seal, but after trying several different tips on them, I find that the silicone tips that they came with work as good as anything else that I tried. That's going to be largely up to preference and your ear canal fit. But for me, the tips that it came with sound good, good bass. The highs are there and detailed, but have no shrill or harshness to them. That's kind of, both those things are kind of in contrast, I would say, to the M6, where the bass is just a little bit more accentuated, and I thought that the treble was almost overly detailed in that it sounded like even a little artificial, maybe. Like you would hear kind of some crackle and sparkle in voices that I don't normally hear with my ears, so it sounded just a little unnatural to me. But some people I know find that sparkle like really engaging and like it. So I mean, it is a good sound. These M6s, they sound good. I could see a lot of people being really happy with these if you like a little bit of a V in your EQing. If you want a more neutral, more laid back listening experience, then I think the KZ AS10s are a great option. Before we go any further here, let me stop and just address comfort and usability, which is something that I didn't include in the first video, but I think is something that people are really going to care about and want to see. So I did record these little clips of me putting on the headphones and kind of showing you like the pieces that go around your ears and what they look like when they're in your ears, so you can get kind of a size comparison going on here. What you'll notice, and it's quite comical to look at, is how much I struggled repeatedly, even after like a couple of weeks of practice, to get the Mi Audio M6 Pros actually like in my ears and get the wires bent around my ears, because they have a rather stiff wire that will remember what shape you put it in. And some people might love that, okay, but for me it was like terrible, like, because I just couldn't ever get it where I wanted it to be, and I was constantly having trouble getting it in my ears and in the right spot. So I didn't like it at all, really, that system. I much prefer the KZ AS10s that have a really flexible, just kind of bendy, always in the same position ear wire. I don't know what you'd call that, but yeah, I just find them more comfortable over long periods of time, and much, much easier to get in my ears. So that's something that you may want to take note of. Now, that isn't to say that the KZs don't have some downsides. The biggest one for me is if no music is playing through the headphone, there is a definite like white noise that you kind of get used to. I don't know. I personally hate it when. And here's the real reason why I wanted to reshoot and edit this video is right here. I talk about the KZ having like a background noise, white noise hiss. However, once I purchased my O2 amp and I ran the KZ AS10s through that white noise completely disappeared. So what does that mean? Well, one thing, it showed me just how important good amplification is for getting a quality, clean sound from any headphone. All right. Now, that being said, the KZ AS10 has that white noise, whereas the Mi M6 Audio Pro 2 did not. So you got to think too, it also matters like what the headphone is just like picking up, and how a headphone or an IEM responds to amplification. So whereas the Mi IEMs, like, you could use them with your phone, you could use them with your desktop computer, and you wouldn't get that background noise. Obviously, they would improve too with amplification. I was only able to test those with the FIO E10K, and they sounded good. They as I described them. Whereas I feel like the KZ AS10s responded differently to amplification in that musically they still sound good and fine from basically whatever source, but I thought they had a much larger difference when plugged into the O2 amp. So that's that factors into the equation here. Are you going to have amplification? What amplification are you going to have? Is it going to be a budget amplifier like the FIO E10K, in which case maybe you'll still retain that background noise? Or is it going to be something a little bit higher quality and a little bit cleaner, where you can eliminate that noise completely? So that's a big question, right? What are you going to use it with? Are you going to have amplification or not? Will that background noise bother you? That's just something that you should keep in mind. That being said, after running the KZs through the O2 amp, I am now completely on board the KZ train. Putting them through the O2 amp, the soundstage opens up, instrument separation is better, still great texture on the bass and everything. It's maybe just like a little bit tighter, definitely depending on your original amplification source. Like my desktop audio straight out of my computer sounds like very muddy, whereas once the O2 amp with the FIO as the DAC, by the way, man, it just sounds so clean and good. And I just really don't have much complaints against the KZAS10 with the O2 amp. But again, maybe you're not running it at a desktop. Maybe you're on the go, and in which case, maybe that white noise is really going to bother you. I don't know. But it's something to take note of. So if I were to summarize all of this, basically, I think both of these IEMs are awesome choices for $40 to $50. Now, I was willing to wait for my KZs, so I purchased them through eBay straight from China, and they were like $45, but it did take them 2 weeks to arrive. That being said, you can hop on Amazon, and I was able to pick up the M6s for like less than $40, and they had prime shipping, and they were here, bada bing, bada boom. Now, return policy wise, I wouldn't even bother trying to return the KZs to someplace in China, right? Not worth the hassle. Whereas the M6s I have since returned to Amazon, and that's, if you've ever done Amazon returns, that's super easy and simple. I did have to pay $7 to return them for the shipping on my end, which is understandable, right? I'm completely happy to pay that. So again, China, buying something direct from China can be a toss-up. If you're in a hurry, it's definitely not something you want to do. I also, at the same time, purchased some KZ ES4s just to compare like a lower-end KZ because I still heard good things about those. And it has now been 6 weeks since I ordered those, and I have not received them. So I will link definitely to the seller of the KZAS10s that I purchased from in case you want to purchase from them too. I can't guarantee that that'll work out, that you'll get them in 2 weeks, but at least you'll know that somebody has pulled that off. So something to keep in mind. I'll also link to the M6s. Again, the short end of the comparison is if you want a more V-shaped sound, if you want a little more boom in your bass, if you want a little more sparkle in your highs, those are the M6 Pro 2s. If you want a more flat, more neutral, but still extremely clear and good all-around sound, obviously my preference, then go with the KZAS10s. I hope you found this review useful. I have since purchasing these these IEMs and doing this comparison, I've kind of spiraled into a audio quest to find like what's the best sound at low budget, and then also up to maybe like $200-300. So I've actually, you can see in the background here, I've got Porta Pros that I'm going to be reviewing. I've got the Super Lux 668Bs that I'm going to be reviewing. I got a set of HD6XXs back there. Currently on the way, I've got some HD58Xs that I'm also going to listen to, and some Monoprice M1060s. So I've got kind of a big range of headphones that I'm trying out, and I want to figure out which ones I want to keep and use. For the IEMs, it's the KZs. We will have to see for open back which ones I decide to go with. Namely, is it worth having $200 headphones, or will something like the Porta Pros get me by? So stay tuned for those reviews, and consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing about all those headphones I listed out, and maybe some different ones in the future. Thanks for watching.